Attention Entropians, Bob Silent here again. And, well, whatever I was going to do this week got put on hold because y'all have had a serious hissy fit over this statement from Mindark, which I will now read to you. Yogg Pet Buff Issue. In this announcement, we'd like to provide a further update on the pet buff issue that was addressed last week. Understandably, there has been intense community interest in this issue since the bug was corrected last week, in the form of forum discussions and support cases. We have had time to dig deeper into how the buff issue happened, why it was not caught by our normal testing procedures, and how it was able to persist for so long without being corrected. The initial bug that allowed all tools and weapons to benefit from the reduced delay buff, rather than just excavators as intended, arose in September 2018, approximately 6 months after the Yogg Pet was introduced. Subsequently, over the next few months, several support cases were submitted describing the issue with varying degrees of detail. Unfortunately, these support cases were not escalated to the testing and development teams and/or flagged with a sufficient level of urgency that reflected the seriousness of the issue. We will be taking steps to improve our internal processes to prevent such situations in the future. As soon as the issue became more widely known last week, we moved quickly to correct the issue via server hotfix. Note that for approximately 30 hours after the server hotfix, the Entropia Universe client showed that the buff was affecting tools other than excavators, even though the server was not actually providing any buff for those items. This has led to some participants reporting that the issue had not been resolved despite it having been resolved. Along with the server hotfix, which corrected the pet buff issue, Summer Mayhem scores for 12 participants were removed due to the possibility that the incorrect pet buff may have been active during those sessions. Please note that those removed scores do not necessarily constitute clear evidence of cheating or abuse on the part of the affected participants. For that reason, those participants were not disqualified from the event, as some participants have called for. However, out of abundance of caution to ensure the integrity of the Summer Mayhem event, it was decided to remove those scores, even if it was not absolutely certain that there was an intention to gain an unfair advantage in the event. Additionally, some participants have demanded a review of the results from previous Mayhem events where the unintended Yogg Pet buff has provided an advantage, inadvertently or intentionally. We will be conducting this investigation over the next few weeks, with the intention of increasing the prize rewards for any participants who are pushed down in the final standings due to a higher placing participant benefiting from the unintended pet buff. Due to the unintended Yogg Pet buff being available for such an extended period of time, despite support cases that should have resulted in the issue being addressed, and considering that it is not possible to definitively conclude that the use of the pet was in every case intended to exploit the buff to gain an advantage, Mindark has decided it would be unfair and impractical to punish participants who directly or indirectly benefited from the unintended buff, for example, stripping prizes awarded in previous Mayhem events. Once again, we want to extend our apologies for the confusion and inconvenience this issue has caused. We are continuing improving our processes and hopefully prevent and minimize such incidents in the future. Then y'all went like batshit crazy and formed a lynch mob. Right? There's a plurality opinion is that you should disqualify them from all future events for 2 years, including alternate accounts. Seeing how we're not supposed to have alternate accounts, I don't see how you're going to pull that one off. Right? The fact that people have alternate accounts, that's against the EULA too. So, it's not like you can be sure there are alts. Raven Jade. Her opinion's kind of valid, but it's not like we could take away the rewards that were already given out to players, because most of these rewards have already been cashed in at the Mayhem Trader and then sold to other players. Are you going to take a Mayhem Scintillator rifle away from somebody who paid good money for it? That's not what's going to happen. However, she does have an important point about how we could have some names named and we could publicly shame these people. So I asked in the areas where MindArc doesn't control the internet, like Facebook and Reddit, if y'all have a list of the 12 names that you want, I would publish it. Dorky says, it's unfair to punish participants who directly profited from the bug. They cheated, did not deserve those prizes whether or not they did it knowingly or not. At minimum, those prizes should be taken away from them. As I already pointed out, this guy right here pretty much sums it up. You can't take the prizes away from the people who bought them from the people who won them. And the people who sold them probably already withdrew their money. Post history has a mistaken idea of how end-user license agreements work. All that stuff in the end-user license agreement is strictly to cover MindArc's ass. It doesn't obligate them to do anything. It tells them what they can do if you mess up. John Capital basically summarized it properly right here in his post, number 71 on the thread. You can't really take the rewards back. No matter how many times you're like, oh, let's take the rewards back from the people, you may be able to punish the avatars. Put them in for a 6-month ban. Maybe you can, but you cannot take away the Mayhem tokens and the items they got with the Mayhem tokens, because in almost 100% of the cases, they've turned them into items and sold them. This guy sums up how I feel about how you guys are behaving. You're an amusing, passionate mob with pitchforks and torches. Come on, guys. Don't you understand jurisprudence at all? Miss Puddin is trying to be the voice of reason. What I was going to talk about this week was her Entropia Gold event and the fact that I thought it was a very interesting idea. But no, we're talking about Yoggate, because that's pretty much the only thing anyone wants to hear about this week. You have to prove, like, as she's pointing out in these, you kind of have to prove that it's, they did it maliciously. Now, we can all look at them and be like, yeah, you knew what you were doing. But in order to, like, close someone's account when they probably do spend thousands of dollars a month in this game, trust me, all 12 of those players aren't making money playing Entropia, except for maybe through, like, Mayhem exploits. They are spending thousands of dollars a month, extra thousands of dollars a month, because their reload time has been down, so their decay's way up, their ammo burns way up per hour. These are all good things for MindArc. That's why they didn't do it until we made a big public display about it. This guy, Blackhawk, in Post 97, also points out that there is the possibility of litigiousness if you kick people without being able to prove they did it on purpose. And the general opinion is, oh no, the EULA protects us from lawsuits. Nothing protects you from a lawsuit. The EULA may protect MindArc from losing a lawsuit, but nothing protects you from facing a lawsuit. Not arbitration contracts, not a terms of use, not an end-user license agreement. People file lawsuits they can't win every day. and you don't want to fight them either, so you try to do things in a way where nobody's going to try to sue you. Helena made one good suggestion here in post 43 that makes sense, because if we can't take the items away from the avatars who may have cheated to win them because they sold them, why don't we just get more of the items put into the Mayhem token trader? We would like a larger number of these limited items, and we would like you to create new items for us that are also worth getting from the Mayhem trader. Hop to it, Mindark. This is something that will probably make the people stop grumbling, and it won't cause you problems. I have a small market summary. Arcadia Underground is beating out Arcadia Moon 4-1 right now. Crystal Palace paid and Ancient Greece didn't the last time I collected a dividend, so it's the same as usual. Thank you for watching, humans, if indeed you still are. Maybe next week I'll get to talk about Entropia Gold and that event that I wanted to. Stay safe out there.